December 2nd, 2017. Glad you can be here. Glad you're listening. Let's talk some sports. Alright. It is Saturday. Big thing in the sports today going on in the world. Everybody out there is watching is college football, of course. We got the championship games going on this weekend. Right now, if you're watching, it's the end of the SEC championship game. It's not going the way many people thought this game was coming into for the rematch of Auburn and Georgia. Georgia has this game in hand right now with just 3 minutes left. You should turn over to CBS and watch the end of it if you have not caught any of this game. Maybe there'll be some excitement here in the last 3 minutes of that one, as Georgia looks to rebound from the big loss they had against Auburn earlier in the season when they were ranked number 1, and Auburn came in and put a whooping on them. So, hey, check it out. If you're a Georgia fan and you didn't know, you forgot the game was on, go ahead, turn over now. It's still going. Like I said, there's about 3 minutes left in that game. Excuse me. We're going to be talking a little about, of course, we'll do the weekly picks this week. The Yankees have hired a new manager. We'll talk a lot about this Eli Manning situation. We'll try and get to Conor McGregor and the Irish Mob, the Tennessee coaching situation at the University of Tennessee, Jimbo Fisher. We'll try and get to all of it today, but we'll jump right in with this week's picks, of course. Alright, my Week 13 picks, not too bad so far on the season. I'm getting about 9, 10, upwards of 14 games some weeks right. Haven't gotten a perfect week so far this season, but not doing too bad. It has been one of those weird seasons that has been hard to predict, honestly, with the way some teams have won against some teams and lost against other teams and playing down against competition and playing up to other competition. It's been a crazy season. And then you throw in the injuries and teams falling apart under coaches, which we'll talk about here a little bit also. But we'll get into the picks. Thursday night, I had the Cowboys beating Washington. I thought they would man up and win this week, and they were able to do that. Now, as a Lions fan, this next pick, I should not be picking Atlanta to win this week. As a Lions fan, you want Minnesota to go ahead and win this week because Atlanta is one of those teams that is ahead of you for the wild card, where Minnesota has pretty much distanced themselves out in the division race at this point. However, that being said, I am taking Atlanta this week. I think they're kind of finding their stride on offense. You saw what Mohamed Sanu was able to do with the 51-yard pass to Julio Jones as he went off last week. And I have to think that Atlanta at home against Minnesota, as they're hitting their stride, defending NFC champions, I'll go ahead and take the Falcons in this one. Surprising to maybe most people, but I liked what I saw out of the Falcons the last couple weeks as they've progressed through the season. Detroit versus Baltimore, of course, I'm going to take the Lions in this one. I know Baltimore's got the number 1 defense. I saw the prognostications. I saw the game being ran by AI 10,000 times. Baltimore doesn't have a lot on offense. This game's going to come down to a play here and there, maybe a turnover. That's really what this game is going to come down to, both 6-5 teams. Does Baltimore have the ability to put up points on offense? Sure, you would think so. They got Joe Flacco. They got some weapons. They got a decent running game. And again, that number 1 defense in the league. Now, Detroit, they're destined, I'm convinced now, they're destined to be that team that's just right there. We can play with anybody. We can almost beat anybody. We can almost do what we need to do to win a game. We can almost play a full game. We can almost make that play. What we can't do is run the ball. We don't run the ball. Detroit does not run the ball for Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford, in my opinion, is a top 5 quarterback, probably a top 3 quarterback in this league. If he had any kind of a running game, if Detroit had any kind of a pass rush or the ability for their linebackers to cover somebody in the passing game, they would not be sitting at 6-5 right now. They might have 2 or 3 losses. They might have 1 loss with Matthew Stafford at their quarterback. If they gave something around him that was consistently complementary to his play. He's been a stud. He is a stud. I'm glad he re-signed. He deserved the contract he's got. I think he leads them over Baltimore this weekend on the road. I will also take New England on the road in Buffalo. Buffalo is falling apart as they have done over the last, decade, starting off well and then just disappearing in the second half of the season. The turmoil right there with Peterman being started and then bringing back Tyrod Taylor, I can see his number and his face, but the name skipped my mind for a second. Bringing Tyrod Taylor back in. Buffalo might make it interesting in the first half with New England, but I expect New England to take this one on the road. Tom Brady having another quietly good season because other players you did not expect necessarily to be in the MVP race are doing so well. Guys like Carson Wentz and others. But expect the Patriots to go ahead and move past the Bills this one in the AFC East matchup. San Francisco versus Chicago. I think Chicago in this one's going to dominate the time of possession and ultimately win this game because of dominating the time of possession. Their defense is pretty stout. It's not good, it's not great, but it's stout. It's going to fight. It's similar to Dallas, really. They have one of those defenses that's going to fight. And every now and then, because they fight every play until the whistle, they're going to make a play here and there. They're going to force you into a situation here and there. They have a run game. Their offensive line, they like to fight. They like to push. They like to go. They like to get dirty. Bears dominate time of possession. I know Garoppolo's starting this week. Not enough for the 49ers to get the win. Tampa Bay gets Jameis Winston back this week. Green Bay possibly getting Aaron Rodgers off IR this week. However, he will not play in this game. Tampa Bay goes on the road. Both teams are bad. Green Bay's bad without Aaron Rodgers. Yes, I know what they almost did against Pittsburgh last week. That's almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, not in the NFL. I think Tampa Bay is less bad because of they have younger talent. They're a little bit better talent-wise than the Packers are. So I will take Tampa Bay on the road in this one to win, even with the excitement of Aaron Rodgers possibly coming off of IR this week. Indianapolis at Jacksonville. I'll take the Jags all day in this one. They should win this one easy, even with a bad quarterback. They have the running game and the defense that's needed to beat Jacoby Brissett and the Indianapolis Colts. Now, can you count the Colts out completely? No. If T.Y. Hilton goes off, they make a couple plays on defense, Blake Bortles throws an interception or a pick six, you never know what can happen in the NFL. But smart money's on Jacksonville in this game. Denver going down to Miami. I think Denver wins this one. Even without Talib on defense, I think Simeon gives them just enough to beat Jay Cutler-led Miami Dolphins in some kind of a 14-12 type of a game, 15-14, a field goal contest, maybe a touchdown scored on each side. Kansas City goes into the Jets. I think they squeak by the Jets in this one and kind of right their ship here at the beginning of the second half of the season. Houston versus Tennessee. I'll take the home team in this one. Tennessee should win. I don't have any faith in Tom Savage. Cleveland versus the Chargers. I know the last time Cleveland was winless and they faced the Chargers, they got that W. I don't see that happening this week. I'm not picking the Browns personally the rest of the year. So to the group of people who have secured the 0-16 parade permit, I think you have a chance of joining my Detroit Lions as the only 0-16 teams in the history of the league. Too much talent on that Cleveland team not being utilized properly, or really put together in a fashion that it was going to work. I had higher hopes for this team because of the talent level. I picked them to win probably 4 games this year. That's clearly not going to happen. And like I said, I'm not picking them the rest of this season to win a game either. So Chargers in that one. LA Rams go into Arizona. I know Arizona's kind of in battle in the last few weeks. You've seen a little bit of a push. They're technically in the playoff picture in the wild card hunt. I expect the Rams to go ahead and handle them. They just have too much for an injured Arizona team. The Giants, I'll take them to go into Oakland and win this week, simply because they beat KC, they beat Denver. Why not? Their best bet is to play teams in the AFC West. Maybe Geno pulls out something, or leans Darkwa, lean on him this week. But hey, the Giants were able to get over on the other 2 teams in the AFC West. I'll take them this week against Oakland as well. I'll take New Orleans at home against Carolina. I think they have too much for the Saints. The Panthers. I think the Saints have too much for the Panthers. The Panthers are still trying to figure out who they are on offense at this point in the year with some of the injuries and trades and Greg Olsen being out and Kelvin Benjamin being traded to Buffalo and then Samuel getting hurt. They still haven't figured out quite how to use Christian McCaffrey completely. Jonathan Stewart, he's solid, but he's an inconsistent guy. The team really has to be playing well, and then he plays well. And the defense has been spotty all year. However, it is a good defense. Could they cause trouble for New Orleans? Sure, they could. Charles Johnson's out this week, so maybe not. But I'll take the Saints at home in this one. I think they have too much for the Panthers. I'll take Pittsburgh to go into Cincinnati. The Bengals could surprise here, but I don't think they will. I think Pittsburgh's close call was last week. I don't think they have that same letdown this week against pretty much a similar team in Cincinnati to what Green Bay has going on right now. And I'll also take Philadelphia to beat Seattle this week. The Seahawks are hurting. They rely way too much on Russell Wilson. You lose 2 members of the Legion of Boom. The Eagles move to 11-1 on the season with the NFL's best record. Those are my picks for Week 13. That's how I see it. If you agree, great. If you don't, reach out. Let us know. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Real Deal Sports Talk with KP at Real Deal KVP. Get at us. We'll have a conversation. I'll try and get you on the air. It's all love here at Real Deal Sports Talk. All right, this situation should be all love. There should be some respect going on in this situation. There should have just been some understanding that, yes, your season is over. I've listened to all the reports this week. Local reports out of New York, the national reports. I've read different articles from all the major sports carriers out there. I've listened to the tweets and the messages from the fans about this Eli Manning situation with the Giants. My personal opinion, Eli Manning is going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. He might not be a first ballot type guy. He didn't have the personality. He didn't have the flashy play. He was always just a solid guy who happened to make the right play at the right time in the right season to win a Super Bowl over, yes, Tom Brady. And this is the man. He comes to work every day. He doesn't cause no trouble in the New York media. Doesn't cause any trouble in the national media. He takes every insult, every put down. He takes all the responsibility in a game that is the epitome of team. And all the parts have to work right for a win to happen. Which is another issue I have with how football is covered. Because it's not the quarterback gets the win. The team gets the win. But Eli has taken all of that on bad teams. On teams that weren't complete. On teams that had him and a defense. On teams that had a receiving core full of number 2s. Now everybody said, oh, well, he got Odell Beckham. He should be lighting it up. Odell Beckham saved Eli. He'd been gone 3 years ago if it wasn't for Odell Beckham Jr. Leave the man alone. He's a top flight quarterback. So he doesn't give you the personality that you want. So he's not Michael Vick running around out of the backfield. He doesn't have the monster arm. If you're going to give him all of the slack for when things aren't going good, he deserves more of the credit for when they are. Long streak of starts for Eli Manning. Very impressive. He was never going to reach Brett Favre. He's still 80-something games behind Brett Favre. Wasn't going to happen. But I've liked Eli Manning. I think he's been in a tough spot. I think he's in a tough market. I think nationally the Giants are one of the teams that gets a lot of press, that gets picked apart. You expect more of a team that's on that national level. Look what happens with the Cowboys. It's the same kind of thing. Those big market teams have a different rhetoric, a different storyline nationally than teams like the Tennessee Titans or the Detroit Lions. You want these great media personalities like a Peyton Manning, like Eli's brother. That's not him. Stop comparing him to his brother. Look at what he has accomplished. Quite a bit on teams that weren't that great. Those teams that he took to Super Bowls were both 9-7 going into the playoffs. Only man to beat Tom Brady in a Super Bowl. Based on the way we talk about the game. He beat Tom Brady. And he's getting benched for Geno Smith? Garbage? And we're supposed to sit back and go, well, the Giants selected Geno Smith as their backup quarterback. So they have that plan, and we need to see that plan play out. And they know what they're doing. And it's not on us to criticize or get upset about that. Yes, it is. Because that sounds like complete BS. I'm sorry. This is a guy. Your season's lost, Giants fans. It's over. It's done. It's been over and done for a few weeks. We've known that. You don't take a guy who's done that for your franchise, that stuff for your team, put it all on his back, rode quietly and classily through it all, and say, you know what? We got to see what we have in Webb and Geno Smith these last 5-6 weeks. You're making it very clear as a team you're planning on moving on from Eli Manning. So if you're doing that, give him the respect he's earned from your team. Not from the fans, not from football fans across the country, not from us in the media. The respect he deserves from your franchise, from the GM, from the owner. You let him play out, and then in the off season you go, okay, Eli, we're moving on. Would you like to be traded? Where would you like to be traded? Would you like to be released? How do you want to handle this? That would have been the right thing for the Giants to do. If I'm Eli Manning, I do not come back to the Giants next season. You don't get to bench me, put me third string, basically deactivate me for Geno Smith and Chris Webb. I don't even know what the kid's name is. Somebody Webb. And then ask me to come back next year and be part of that situation. You now owe it to me to handle it even more however I want. Not come out and have the coach say I have no ill will or bad feelings about how I handled it. Not to come out as the owner and give some fake little response and talk about, oh, I understand it's hard. I didn't expect this much kickback from the fans, blah, blah, blah. The Giants handled it wrong. Plain and simple. Your season sunk. You guys suck. You don't have enough players. And you just did one of your all-time greats for your franchise completely wrong. McAdoo comes out and says, oh, well, Eli, we're going to let you start the first half, and then we'll pull you out and get the guys in so you can keep your streak alive. No! Eli is a professional. He is a team player. He's not about himself and stats. He 100% did the right thing in saying no thank you to that offer of letting me start to keep the the streak alive as a sign of respect to me. And to prove he was even better still, met the media that day while choking back tears. Came in early the next day to work with the rookie. Team first guy, class all the way. Other cities, other teams, other players, it doesn't get handled like that by the player when the team does him wrong. And there's been former players to come out in favor, former players to come out against Eli on this. More that I've seen come out in favor of him. Draftmate Phillip Rivers called it pathetic, and I agree. Marshawn Lynch came out and said the Giants releasing Eli Manning is like not running the ball from the 1 yard line to win the Super Bowl. Taking a shot at basically the Seahawks and the Giants in one tweet. And he's right. He's right. In hindsight. Because had that play worked and they won the Super Bowl on the pass play, everybody would have been saying how genius of a play call it was because everyone thought it was going to Marshawn and they threw the ball and caught the defense off guard. So in hindsight, yes, you take that shot at Seattle. But Eli deserved better. And for the players who are coming out against him and the radio hosts who want to tear him down because he doesn't have the top flight numbers and gets more credit than he deserves, put him on one of these other teams that's loaded. And you see the numbers you want to see. You can't get giant numbers for a quarterback when his receiving core has the most drop passes in the NFL this year. When you have little to no run game. When your offensive line couldn't block anybody for the first half of the season. When your all-star defense has quit on the head coach because they are pissed off with the way he treats them. And the double standard there is against the defensive players and Odell Beckham Jr. and what he can do because he's a celebrity. Odell Beckham Jr. is not the best receiver in the NFL. He's not the best route runner. He might have the best hands, maybe. There's a lot of guys that can catch the ball with one hand. He's not the fastest guy. He's not the best receiver in the NFL. He does not make the New York Giants. They've lost plenty of games with Odell Beckham Jr. in the game, making plays or not making plays. So when it comes right down to it, no. Eli would not have been gone years ago if it weren't for the Odell Beckham Jr. joining the team. Everybody had higher expectations for this Giants team this year. I did. I thought they were going to win the division. I thought you bring over a Brandon Marshall, make him your possession guy. You got Sterling Shepard in the slot. You put Odell Beckham on the outside. Enough of a running game. With that defense, with the talent they got on that side of the ball, it looked like they were in position. But the defense has not played up. They have not had the plays. They've had their conflicts with suspensions and injuries and walking out on the club. But we're going to put it on Eli. Because that's how we do with football in the NFL. It's the quarterback because he touches the ball on every offensive play. So he gets all the credit. And he gets all the blame. No. No, no, no. Now, Geno Smith, you're becoming the first black quarterback to start for the Giants in the history of the franchise. And it's 2017. The end of 2017. And you will be the first black quarterback to start for the New York Giants. Congratulations. They did pick you as their backup. You're not an NFL quarterback. You've proven that when you played for the Jets. But you get to start for the bad Giants team this week, and eventually you will lose that job to Webb because they want to see him start this year. Now again, I said if I'm Eli Manning, I don't give the Giants the option of bringing me back next year. You're going to go ahead and you're going to let me leave under my terms the way I want. Because at this point, you've already burned your bridges and you owe me. That's how I see it. Now, best landing spots for Eli next year. We've heard Denver mentioned, Arizona, Jacksonville, Cleveland, the Jets, the Colts, San Francisco. Who else? Who else needs a quarterback? Throw them in the mix too. Houston. Don't know how Deshaun Watson's going to come back or if he's going to be healthy. So let's go through those teams. Denver. Does Eli Manning want to come to Denver? No. One, he doesn't want to follow his brother's legacy. He is his own person. He is his own man. He didn't go to Tennessee. He went to Ole Miss instead. He's not going to go to Denver. That's not a team that's close to winning a championship, and repeat what's going on in New York right now on a team that is in just as much of need of repair as the Giants are in Denver. Arizona. Warm. Veterans like to go live in Arizona. It's better on the body. Revitalize Kurt Warner's career after playing in New York. Some young players on defense. David Johnson hopefully coming back next year. Fitzgerald has resigned. You got Brown. You got some other pieces on the outside. Now, it's rumored Arenas is going to leave after this year. He's going to retire because of his health issues. So does Eli want to go down there with a new head coach who doesn't know him, who's changing systems and deal with all that turnover? Probably not. Cleveland. Why would any quarterback want to go play football in Cleveland right now? Unless you were just so stubborn and so diehard believing in yourself that you were going to change that team around single-handedly, why would any quarterback, free agent or otherwise, choose to go play with Cleveland? Don't see it. The Jets. That's interesting. Wouldn't have to uproot his family. Stays in New York. Has a chance to play the Giants. Could stick it to his old team by winning a Super Bowl with the Jets, who clearly are a chippy, got a dog in them type team. Not a lot of talent, not a lot of weapons, but they got some fight to them. They got some to them. That would make for a good story. Stay in New York, take a team that hasn't been there in a long time to the next level, get over on your old team in the same city. How about the Colts? Don't know what the Andrew Luck situation is. Is he ever going to play again? Will it be with the Indianapolis? Is he going to try and get his way out of there because of the treatment he's gotten and not wanting to deal with that? Is Indianapolis going to want to move on because they know more about the medical situation than we do, and they've been hiding it, and they're worried? Maybe the Colts are a place he could end up. I don't see it. Again, Pagano's probably out after this year. You're bringing in a new head coach. You're bringing in new systems. You're starting over. San Francisco. Could Eli Manning under Kyle Shanahan do similar things to what Matt Ryan did in Atlanta? If he had the same weapons, sure. San Francisco doesn't have the weapon. They're a rebuilding team. They do have Garoppolo. They're going to give him some starts here at the end of the year, and who knows, maybe they re-sign him, maybe they go after Kirk Cousins, but I don't see Eli Manning there. I think if Eli Manning leaves the New York Giants, his best landing spot is with his former head coach and current head of football operations of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Tom Coughlin. Why do I say that? Here's why. Young stud defense. Calais Campbell, leadership on that defense. They're not going to get any worse. Everybody signed up for the next 2 or 3 years. Willie Jackson signed up, Ramsey signed up, Calais Campbell signed up, Miles Jack signed up, Gibson signed up. That defense is signed up. Buoy for the next 2 or 3 years. Similar to what the Broncos were when Peyton Manning came into town. Now, where Peyton Manning didn't have when he came into town for Denver is Leonard Fournette. A solid running game. Now, okay, you got a solid running game, a a young stud defense. Let's look at the weapons they got. Do they have receivers? Check. Do they have a tight end? Check. Perfect situation for a veteran quarterback to go onto a team with a struggling quarterback situation that has a top-flight running game, a top-flight young rookie running back this year, and a stud defense that can shut people down. All you got to do is manage the offense. That's the perfect situation in my mind for Eli Manning to go into if he chooses to continue to play next year. Now, Georgia won today. Oklahoma won today. We're going to have to see how this college football plays out, the playoff picture plays out, to see who's going to be the top four. We'll talk about that next week. But both Oklahoma and Georgia have won today in their championship games. Clemson and Miami still to play. Ohio State and Wisconsin still to play. But if I'm Eli Manning, I'm sitting back right now. I'm very carefully deciding what my next steps are, who I might want to play for, if I want to play anymore at all. Because I know he loves the Giants organization. That's where he wanted to play. He got himself traded there in the draft, didn't want to play in San Diego. I did not respect him for that, but I do not respect the people that are tearing him apart now and acting like what's happening with this Giants team is all his fault. Most drop passes in football. Giants. What quarterback's going to have the top numbers or be able to show that his $100 million contract is worth it if his receivers are dropping the ball? If he has no running game? If his offensive line's not blocking? Like, come on, people. Get over your little high horses and your opinionated selves, and really you're a bunch of sheep who listen to the mass media and formulate your opinions like little fanatics, and you're the same fools who go out there and get drunk at the game and get in fights and ruin it for the people who really just love the game. You're the ones who are going to dog your own team out when they're not winning. I've been a Lions fan now since 1992, when I went to a football camp and Barry Sanders was one of the coaches at the camp. Since 1992, I have only seen one playoff win. Only a handful of playoff appearances. Will I dog my team out? No. Will I be real about with them? Yes, I will. But for all this stuff that's going on, it's just not right up there in New York right now. Alright, Conor McGregor. This is funny to me. He goes to a pub the other night in Ireland, I'm guessing. I didn't see that part in the article that I was reading. But he goes to a pub the other night, gets into an altercation with somebody who's affiliated with the Irish Mafia. They say they're going to come after him. He yells, "Come and get me." Now, I understand he might be a badass in the MMA world. We all saw he can't fight with the top boxers. What makes him think he can do anything with a bunch of people who will just shoot him, or blow him up, or poison him, or abduct his family? He is not gangster. He's a 165-pound fighter with a lot of bravado and a big bank account that might be getting ready to get messed with. So Conor, I hope you out there, I hope you realize what you did, and whether or not this is a publicity stunt and you know the guy, or you actually have connections too, I don't know. But this is a stupid situation. You don't go call out organizations of criminals because you got into some stupid little spat in a pub somewhere. Another stupid situation, University of Tennessee coaching job. Don't nobody want that job. It's gotten so bad they fired their athletic director. They brought Philip Fulmer back in to be the new athletic director. And I don't know who's going to take this job. The fan base seems to be off kilter. They got Greg Schiano basically revoked. I didn't like that hire myself, but, I mean, you didn't even give him a chance. It's like they had this preconceived idea that the rumor that went around John Gruden was in talks with them got them, moist down below, and they got too excited, and anything other than that wasn't going to be good enough. You're not going to get big name coach to show up at the University of Tennessee. Not right now. I'd be shocked if Philip Fulmer can get somebody to come in there who's going to have a big name and excite everybody. Coaches are not even coming in for interviews. They're just turning that job down. Jimbo Fisher moves on to Texas A&M. Something like 10 years for $75 million, I think, is being reported. And I heard it asked this week, does he owe anything to the players and the families that he recruited? Being that he is now leaving on those players to go somewhere else for money. Well, does he have the right to leave? Yeah, that's the business of the game. That's part of it for these guys. It's a business. It's a job. So they have to do what's right by the business part and the job part, and then once they have that, then they need to do right by the team. Does he owe anything to those players and families? In my mind, yes, he does. He 100%, and I don't know if this happened or not, but he 100% should have brought all of them in. All of them, invited all of them before it was broke to the media. Shook their hands, looked them in the eye, thanked them, and told them what was up. For incoming recruits for next year's class. I'm of the opinion that those guys, they get to choose now if they want to decommit. They should have all been sent information before this hit the media also saying, here's the situation. Because of the coaching change, because you were recruited by somebody who will no longer be representing the university, you are afforded the opportunity to change your mind. We would like you to stay because we value you as a student athlete. But you have the choice. Scholarship athletes who are already on campus and enrolled, you do not have the same opportunity. We understand if you would like to give up your scholarship and transfer and give up a year of eligibility. Anything beyond just respect in that situation, treating those players the way he wanted to be treated, no, he doesn't owe them anything. Go make your money. That's the business side. That's what it is now. It's not just football. It's business. It's making millions. That's my dog. She hears something going on, so she's barking a little bit. Keep her quiet there for you. And the last thing we'll get to today, Aaron Boone. He's been named the Yankees' new manager. Not a Yankees fan. Don't really like him. Don't know how well Aaron Boone's going to do. But I got to say, he is a distant cousin. He's related to Daniel Boone. I'm related to Daniel Boone. Family connection there. So we'll end the show on that. Till next time, everybody. You know how we do here at Real Deal Sports Talk. We keep it real. We want you to keep it real. So until next time, please, just keep it real.